And with that, Monica, come on up.
Thank you very much, Farhan. And I see a room a little bit busier than last Friday, so we are making some progress here. Okay, hello everyone, good afternoon. I hope you are well today. I'm going to start with the elections for the Human Rights Council. President María Fernanda Espinosa chaired today the plenary meeting on the election of new members of the Human Rights Council. In total, 18 member states presented their candidacies for 18 vacancies in the UN body, which is headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. There were 5 seats for the group of African states and the group of the Asia-Pacific states, respectively. 2 vacancies were made available for the Eastern European states. The group of Latin America and the Caribbean had 3 seats to be filled, as well as the group of Western European and other states, also with 3 vacant seats. Newly elected members will start their tenure on 1st of January 2019. They will have a mandate of 3 years. And the members elected today were Argentina, Austria, Bahamas, Bangladesh, Bahrein, Bulgaria, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Czech Republic, Denmark, Eritrea, Fiji, India, Italy, Philippines, Somalia, Togo, and Uruguay. President Espinosa welcomes the announcement by the Government of Malaysia in regard with abolishing the death penalty in the country. She thinks it is encouraging that more countries are complying to the GA resolution on this issue, which was adopted on 19 December 2016, requesting member states of the United Nations to establish a moratorium on executions with a view to abolishing the death penalty. And today, President María Fernanda Espinosa is meeting a group of parliamentarians from India. She will hold a phone call with the ambassador of Canada to the UN, and we will have separate meetings with the ambassadors of Italy. And late afternoon, she will receive at the PJ's office the special rapporteur on the rights of indigenous people. And finally, Mrs. Espinosa will grant an interview to Al Quds newspaper today and to Canal de la Ciudad from Argentina. And yesterday, I was asked a question by James. James, am I allowed to give you the answer for your question? Thank you very much. I have to check now. Okay, the Independent International Fact-Finding Mission on Myanmar, our colleagues from the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights tell us that the meeting will take place on the 23rd of October at the 3rd committee, okay? Good. And more information is, of course, on the website. Yes, Joe.
Could you tell us which member state apparently wrote in the United States? They got 1 vote.
I don't
And I
know.
assume it's not the United States
It's
that did
a
that.
secret ballot, as you know, so my guess is as good as yours. So I have no idea. But you're absolutely right. I have the tally here, and for our colleague from AFP and other colleagues as well, all the number of votes, the exact number will be on our website, okay? Yes?
Yeah.
Evelyn, yes, as we speak, the office is producing, our very hard-working colleagues there are putting it out. Yes.
Yes,
Hamid?
Monica. Seeing country like Eritrea elected to the Human Rights Council, Somalia, Cameroon, and those countries, what does the president think of those countries? Do they qualify to be in the Human Rights Council? I know you're going to say about the member states who decide, but on personal level, how does she feel about
We
it?
were paying attention to the briefing yesterday, and
did.
also
I heard you
to
yesterday.
Farhan's. Yeah, I know. Look, it's clear that the world expects the members of international bodies that they will abide to a certain set of standards of behavior consistent with the bodies they have been elected to. And I will leave it at that. I think it's been enough said. Yes, James. Thank you.
A
for your
follow-up
question.
question then. Does she think the system should be reviewed? You have a universal periodic review which does a health check on each of the nations and the state of their human rights. Surely there should be a system that links that to whether they should be able to run for the Human Rights Council, so you don't get the worst abusers of human rights turning up on the council that's supposed to judge the state of human rights. Surely she has a view on that.
She is the president of 193 member states, and she truly respects the rules of procedure. Today there was an election. There were 18 members elected, which received votes. We have the number of votes. I'm not going to read the 18 to you, but it's on our website. And the election was done. The sovereign will and choice of the General Assembly was made.
Does someone not... We heard from the spokesman for the Secretary General. Does not someone need to make a stand here? Because it's a bit of a stain on the whole UN system that you have a system to judge human rights that is so wrong.
Yeah, and it's clear, I'm going to repeat my answer to Hamid. It's clear that the world expects the members of international bodies will abide to a certain set of standards. They have responsibilities to fulfill. And Farhan just said before, I said yesterday as well, the universal periodic review is a mechanism that is in place to analyze this issue. Hamid, Joe, am I going to alphabetical order? Okay, go ahead.
On Tuesday afternoon, there will
Yes.
be a meeting at the GA to discuss the presidency of Palestine to the Group of 77 and China. What is the president's take on that?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, she announced this meeting at the end of the votes today. Yeah, well spotted. A resolution was tabled late this week in regard with the chair of the Group of 77 for the year of 2019. We're talking about next year. Member states have been informed that there will be a plenary meeting on Tuesday afternoon. It's actually at 3 p.m. to consider the draft resolution in question to member states can take action. So this is a procedural issue under the auspices of G77, which is, as you know, as everybody knows, currently chaired by Egypt. And the meeting will be on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Yes, Tuesday, 3 p.m. It will be on the webcast at the GA plenary hall.
When do you expect the vote?
Sorry?
When do you expect the vote?
The General Assembly will gather to take action, so we will have to watch and see what action will be taken in regard of this. Ben, I will go to you in a minute. I have Joe here. Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the issue of the Human Rights Council, but a more general preface question. Does the President of the General Assembly see in part her role in making the UN relevant and so forth in articulating the obligations that are set forth in UN General Assembly resolutions and reminding the member states specifically of those obligations? And I have in mind in this context General Assembly Resolution 60-251, which sets out the membership criteria for the Human Rights Council, including to, quote, uphold the highest standards in the promotion and protection of human rights, close quote. In her bilateral meetings or even in public declarations, is she just going to stand by and allow that resolution to be blatantly disregarded, or at least use her moral authority to try to move the membership closer to honoring what they agreed to in the resolution I just quoted from?
You're asking a question about her bilateral meetings. We have all the readout of her bilateral meetings on our website, therefore, to be consulted, so you can see with independent countries what is being said. And I don't have anything else for you on this.
Well, the question was more, that was just an example. The question goes to more of her perception of her of her role as president and her own priorities, including making the UN relevant, accountability, I think that was part of her acronym, DARE. This is a test case. I mean, obviously the member states make their final decision, but that doesn't mean that the President of the General Assembly just stays mute when the clear text of a General Assembly resolution is being disregarded. So I ask you, how does she see her role in that arena?
Well, the President of the General Assembly is a facilitator. She is a convener, yes? She is the President of 193 member states. As you know, it's not up to the President of the General Assembly to interfere in elections or decisions. She's there to convene, not to impose any views. So I take your point. I understand the questions here. But honestly, everything I had to say about that has been said. We are talking about new members, which will, assume their posts in January. And I think we probably will have this conversation again after they take their seats for 3 years, each one. The mandates are now 3 years. But thank you, Joe. I see your point. I go to Ben, and then afterwards here, and then afterwards our colleague. Ben,
yeah,
Fox
just
News.
back to the G77 draft resolution. Who's sponsoring that resolution?
The resolution has been tabled by the chair person or the country which is chairing the G77, which is Egypt. Yes. Yeah. Okay. And then you. Okay, go ahead.
This is a follow-up question, what just was said here. If one of these 6 countries is going home and abusing the human rights home and using UN as floor to make sure that they are going on with what they are doing home, does anybody feel responsible here what is going on? Do I have to repeat my question?
No, you're talking about responsibility in general, yes? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
You're talking about responsibility in general. I believe that the mechanisms that the Human Rights Council has itself can address this issue. Because when we have the Universal Periodic Review, it's not only the country in question that is being, coming with its reports and saying how the situation is. Experts of human rights, as we know, and also civil society, they take part in this debate, and recommendations are done. I'm not sure. Of course, you must have seen one of these reports when they are finalized. Recommendations are done. So I think the responsibility issue here takes place. But again, this is a matter we're talking today about an election that just happened, that took place in the General Assembly, where member states decided, some member states, in this case 18, applied for the position, run for the seat, and 193 member states voted, and we have the tally of the votes. So I don't have anything else to say about that anymore. But yeah, Hamid, let me go to our colleague then I come back to you. Yes.
But a note.
Yes.
That these members had been elected first by their regional group, so they come already elected by their regional group. The African group decides which countries will go and represent them, and the same thing with Latin American group. So the process of selecting them by their regional groups had been already made. Thank you.
When the vote takes, thank you for this observation. And when the vote takes place, it's actually open to all. And this is the largest democratic body of the organization, the General Assembly. You have a question.
Yeah, I just have 2 short questions, then I have another third. What time is the President meeting the MPs of India?
Yeah, I had that in my agenda.
Is that open to media?
I think it is early afternoon, but I can get back to you on that.
All right, that's the first. The second is, do you know if India got the most number of votes amongst all the 18 candidates?
I don't know, because I have...
That'll come on the website, I suppose, so I'll follow up.
It is on the website, but I can't tell you exactly. It was 188 votes. 180. And then I see here on my list, you are.
Is that the most?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the most. Okay.
188.
And the final question, a follow-up of what was being asked earlier. You see, what has happened in the past few weeks, at least, ever since the PGA came in and took charge, there's been messaging around multilateralism and you know, moral issues in a sense. But if she is only a facilitator, if she is only a convener, do you think that perhaps there's a certain amount of misleading happening or in terms of the messaging? Because through the messaging, it seems that she can actually make a difference as a moral authority. But if she is only a facilitator, then that messaging is pointless.
Well, first of all, I will lead you to put the adverb in this sentence when you say only. I mean, I didn't say only. I said she's a facilitator, she's a convener, and that is the role of the President of the General Assembly, which has been since this organization was founded. And this is the beauty of this role, to you know, foster an environment of dialogue where consensus can be promoted, but at the same time, where it's okay to have different opinions. It doesn't matter that everybody is gonna think in the same way. And I think her message, she's very truthful to her message, so is the entire team. I've been working this team for a while now, as you all know. And we are definitely committed to this and working on this round the clock. As I said before, there are 7 priorities, one for each day of the week. So yes, but again, the role of the President of the General Assembly is to foster this dialogue, to foster this environment, and not to fear you know, different opinions, because if you want to dialogue, if you want to achieve something, you definitely have to consider other people's opinions and not isolate them. Okay, Joe, I think, guys, it's going to be the last one because
Okay,
if Ambassador Laurenzi
I'm going to
Solis is...
I'm going to ask this in a
yes.
from a different angle. Isn't one of the responsibilities or of the President of the General Assembly to organize specific forums and high-level plenary sessions?
Mm-hmm.
Given what happened today, is she considering convening a forum or high-level meeting to re-examine the implementation of the General Assembly resolution I just quoted from in voting for new members in the future for the Human Rights Council and giving real force to the criteria of adhering to the highest standards of human rights? I mean, she has that power, right? And she has that authority. Is she giving consideration specifically to focus on that issue?
Are you making a suggestion, Joe?
No.
Because I will take it, my homework at the weekend, and I haven't spoken to the President so far since the vote, but I will take your suggestion.
I don't want to ruin your weekend, so you can, you can convey it any time, but could you get back to us?
I'll get back to you on your suggestion to the General Assembly. Thank you very much, everybody. The ambassador will be here soon, is that correct? Yes, okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Take care. Good, and have a good weekend. Thanks.